First of all, was you scared?
Oh yeah.
Like, did you like? Was that
Yeah,
feeling of like, you know, like when you get into
you're
competition,
nervous. You get that. You get the little belly
the
bugs and
butterfly,
everything starts to use. Then you want to start going to the toilet 4 times. Or like, what's going on? You know, even the leader, I was like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? Is my knee gonna survive? Am I gonna do the run and everything's smooth, or am I gonna be a person that's gonna like throw up because I've not tested my lung capacity to this sort of capability? I'm on the main stage, essentially being in front of like thousands of people, people watching you, and they might be comfortable in that world. Whereas for me, that's not enough. I want more. I think one of the biggest things I've learned being here is that you have to put yourself in a position where you're willing to be uncomfortable in order to start being more comfortable. Without bringing anyone down, some PTs have been here for 2 years and they only got less than 10 clients. So that speaks volumes within itself. Yeah. But again, everyone's means and way of living are different. Yeah. And they might be comfortable in that world, whereas for me, that's not enough. I want more. But that's just how I was born with my parents. If you look at my CV, whatever job I had, I always climbed. When I got to like supervisor level or management level. And then I moved into fitness. I started working at 10 years ago, so like, yeah, about 10, 11 years ago.
And you started PTing what, straight off the bat?
No, I started working fitness first, then I injured my knee, so probably like 2 years in, so just after that. So I've been about PT about six, 7 years, yeah.
How did that knee injury help you? Because I bet
Because obviously I started in reception, then it pushed me I went into then fitness consultant, and that injured my knee, so then I moved into sales, and then recovered from my knee, and then came back into fitness, and then I pursued my PT, and the rest is history, bro. But I have a experience in all different roles. So I got front of house, learning people's names, speaking to new people. And then I moved to being on the gym floor a bit more and conducting classes there, being in front of a bigger audience. So that's my confidence, touching up on there, topping up on there. And then sales has been able to just talk to someone and be able to sell something to them, which is obviously my services. So I had a mixture of ordering and come back into PT and I was like, bam. First week I was like doing 20 hours.
In terms of building the foundation,
I had everything, yeah. So when he jumped over, all the guys were like, fucking hell, how's this guy doing so well? It's like, well, it's just because I just have a personality and just fucking smile. Oh yeah, you actually, bro. I could have gone in deep and just started from complete scratch, but then it would have been a case of like, oh, maybe I could have done that. Oh, I'm not gonna do that. And then confidence starts to get a little dented. I'll be like, oh, I'm a bit scared. But then it's like, well, then you're not gonna grow as a person if you don't put yourself in uncomfortability. I think one of the biggest things I've learned being here is that you have to put yourself in a position where you're willing to be uncomfortable in order to start being more comfortable.
So welcome to TAZ Talks. Today I'm joined by Prash. Prash, just introduce yourself. Tell them a little bit more about yourself.
Tell them a little bit more about myself. Oh, I've not been in this position in like years. You get really nervous. I talk about myself. So my name is Prash. I'm a personal trainer at Fitness First Cottons in London Bridge. I've been here for like nearly 10 years now. I think today we're going to be talking a little bit more about the HYROX side of things. And
boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
HYROX right there. So explain to everyone first of all, what is HYROX? Like in this simplest form, like what is HYROX?
So HYROX is basically a fitness race that consists of an 8K run split into 8 1K runs, and in between the runs you'll be doing an exercise. So for example, it would be a sled push, pull, walking lunges, ball throws, burpees, farmer's walk, and then you try to just aim to get the best time as possible. But it's really grueling and testing on your strength side of things first of all, and also your cardiovascular combined together. So like, it's not just an element of having, you can be a really strong person, but you might suffer on the cardio side of things, or vice versa. So it really does challenge you in both areas, which is quite cool to have and be like an all-round top athlete.
And how long have you been doing it?
Coming up to a year now.
A year?
Yeah.
And have you competed before?
So I've done 6 races so far. I've got another 5 actually booked for the rest of the year. And then see where.
So you have more booked this throughout the year.
Yeah.
But the previous one you've done, how were they? Like, what was the experience? Like, first of all, like being in there, first thing, like how did you feel? Like, was it something that's just another race? Is it like that feeling of, you know what, this is just another day. I'm just gonna go here, run a marathon, 5K, 10K. Because most people think it's just like a cardio race, essentially, right? Like a marathon.
Yeah.
But what's the thing that you feel like really sets it apart from all of those?
So I'll give you a bit of context behind as to how I really got into it. So two of my work colleagues, Paul and Lara, had done a race. And I was taking a mick out of them. I'd be like, yeah, that's all easy, I can do that. But obviously, like, I had injured my knee about 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. So I had a reconstruction of my ACL, and that's kind of like threw me out of like taking part in like competitions or races or just even just running. Because I'm coming from a very sporty background, so playing a lot of football, badminton, tennis, cricket, all that stuff growing up. And then obviously once I injured my knee, stopped all of that. And I kind of dived into doing more weight training, building strength back into my body, especially into my knee. And then I thought it got to a point where I was like, oh, I've done enough strength training, but I've not really challenged my knee. So it's got to a point where I was like, all right, what can I do now? So then obviously then I took these guys up on the challenge and I did the first race. My prepping for this wasn't the best. Average time they're saying it takes about an hour and a half. I did it, I think it was like 1 hour and 31, which I was surprised with.
So it's not too bad. It's like
It wasn't bad, yeah. I
right?
fitted and I made it within the average time, so I was surprised at that. I was expecting to make a much less of a time when I did it, but I think I came out feeling relatively like happy with that.
And that's like 6 months after your injury.
No, this is like a couple of years.
Couple years
Couple
after.
years. So I was scared. I was always scared of going into this.
Was it like just a challenge towards yourself that you wanted to push more than just doing weights, and you want to see like what you can actually achieve, or is it also the competitiveness that you had with Paul and Laura and all your other colleagues?
I think my competitiveness was always like tamed after coming out of being so sporty. So I think they kind of reignited that by egging me on, be like, you can. Oh, you can't do it. And I was like, no, I'm going to do it now. And it's all that reverse psychology. So they, in a way, they obviously tricked me, but it worked. Because then now it's like, once you do a race, you'll get the bug. And I think I got the bug at the time, and I just wanted to do more. And then I think a lot of it was linked to confidence. I didn't feel very confident going into doing a competition like this. Obviously, it's my first time doing something like this. And I got to experience different elements of like testing my cardiovascular to the peak, to the limit, testing my strength. Obviously, I've been doing more weights, but it's like a different style of weights compared to doing like high intensity style of weights, where you're coming from like high to low in terms of your heart rate. So it's different. So it kind of cornered me to think about, all right, I'm gonna do this, but do I then have the capabilities of actually competing and doing well? So that was always the first challenge. That was the first hurdle.
First of all, was you scared?
Oh yeah.
Like, did you like? Was that
Yeah,
feeling of like, like when you get into
you're
competition?
nervous. You get that. You get the little belly
the
bugs
butterfly,
and everything starts to use. Then you want to start going to the toilet 4 times. Or like, what's going on here? Well, man, it kicks in because the adrenaline starts like taking over.
Before the race?
Oh, of course. Even to the lead up.
But that's what I was gonna ask. Like to the lead up, did you have like that feeling of like, you know what? Oh shit! That you know what I'm trying to say? That like a feeling of like you get scared.
Of course.
Or is it like just another day?
No, I got scared.
You got scared?
Yeah, I got scared. I got scared coming stepping into my first HYROX. Even the lead up, I was like, oh shit, what's gonna happen? Is my knee gonna survive? Am I gonna do the run and everything's smooth, or am I gonna be a person that's gonna like throw up because I've not tested my lung capacity to this sort of capability? I'm on the main stage, essentially being in front of like thousands of people, people watching you. Think about
And it's broadcasted live as well.
Yeah,
isn't
exactly. Yeah, and then you think about it, it's like you stepping into the ring and something goes bad. You're like, shit, all the lights on me.
Yeah.
Everyone's watching me. Oh crap. It's like it's kind of that sort of feeling. But obviously, no one really knows you because I was just a nobody to everyone else. But in my world, I have my friends and family.
Everyone's somebody to themselves, though.
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
That like, obviously, you're not gonna see it from a perspective of a different person. Like, even if they're at the top of HYROX, right?
Yeah.
You're always gonna see it from your perspective,
Exactly.
your point of view.
Yeah.
But from there, like, did it just completely like shatter you? Did you rise above it?
So I think when I conducted myself throughout the race, there was a lot of ups and downs where like I nearly ran into someone because they just stopped in front of me. There was another person that had like passed out on the part where we were doing the burpees or walking lunges, I think it was. There's little things that were like, oh, that could be me. or something can happen to me when I saw other people walking off limping because I heard the sounds as well. I thought, oh, that could be me. So I was like, oh, how am I going to get through this race? And I just slowly went through it. There's times where I stopped when I was walking, when we were meant to be running, because my heart was just pounding at my chest. I just couldn't really settle down. And then when I crossed the line, you know, with everyone being there, it seemed like it was nice to achieve what I did. I didn't really care about the time at the time. I just wanted to get through the race. I think that was my main concern, to get through the race without getting injured, without my knee popping or flaring up. So that for me was a very great achievement. And then after I digested, trying to catch my breath and realized where I was, and I saw my time, I was like, do you know what, it's actually still a decent time. I still did it within the average time.
For your first time as well.
For the first time as well. So I thought, do you know what can I do now? Because now that you have done it, you know you can do it. You know you can do better now. And you've seen where you can improve on in terms of like different elements of like, okay, I can run at a faster pace. You can change certain techniques on the exercises and stuff like that. You can have a slightly better input of food leading up to the race, especially on the day of the race as well. Just small little tweaks that I've made along the way. I think the biggest one I made was then moving on to my second race and third race, where I had a more structured plan of training.
So thus far, you've completed how many races? 3 races?
I've done 6 now.
6 races altogether.
Yeah.
So explain to me just briefly, like what's the progression from the first in terms of your training, like your programming, just from the first, second, all the way to your 6th?
So when I moved on from my first to my second, I had moved into more of a structured plan, which was detailed down to improving on certain areas where I knew I was weak. So overall cardiovascular was always going to be a big area in terms of improving on it, and just getting the knee back into moving properly and functioning well during races and you know, like race season and off race season. And then increasing on strength in certain areas, for example, i.e. sled pull was always my weakest one. So I improved on that drastically. Sled push has always been good.
And just quickly, what was the weight on the sled pull?
So you're looking at 100 and so now, because I've done the pro race, I'm thinking of all the pro numbers, which obviously are heavier. You're looking at 125 for the push, and I think it was 75 or maybe 90 for the pull, I believe.
This is just for the normal one?
Yeah, open.
Open.
Someone might watch this and correct me, but like, you got that all wrong. But yeah, check it. I can't remember the numbers now because I'm so used to the pro weights.
And the pro one that you done?
So the pro is sled push was a 202, and the sled pull was 152.
202.
Yeah, the 202.
And what's your weight when you done it?
70,
Damn.
78, 77,
Wow.
78.
And how long is the distance you need to cover?
25 meters.
So 25 meters, 202,
Yeah.
and you was only 75. Or
75, 76, yeah. At that point, I lost a little bit more. And that wasn't too long ago, to be fair. That was in April? Was it March, April? I did that. That was a pro.
This
That's
year,
a big jump, yeah. That's a
2023.
big jump from doing the opens.
And that's the thing I've always wanted to ask you, like, how do you cope with, like, obviously this is like a cardio heavy exercise. Like,
Yep.
How do you actually cope with losing the weight? Because it's inevitably going to happen, right?
Yeah.
But how do you cope with actually maintaining the strength and actually building up your cardio?
It's tricky because I've always been that guy that's like, you know, because of my body type, I'm an ectomorph. I'm always trying to be putting on weight.
Yeah.
So when I had to come into doing so much more cardio, I was obviously losing weight. So I had to really adjust my mindset and accepting that I'm not going to be able to achieve my overall goal of wanting to put on weight whilst trying to change and train for HYROX. So that was the first hurdle I had. Second hurdle I had was
you just
like,
kind of accepted it.
I accepted it. I was like, look, I'm going to lose weight. And then I had to then think about, all right, cool, I'm now obviously a personal trainer in the gym. People are going to be looking at me. It's like, well, he's a PT, look how skinny he is.
Yeah.
That's the first thing that popped in my head. But I was like, it's fine because they're not doing what I'm doing.
Plus, like, people don't actually look at, because when you look at athletes, there's not really much to look at, right? Most of athletes are actually just looking at, they look average.
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
if you look at all the top athletes as well, like they're slim, but they're like muscular and they're like athlete, but also they've achieved what they've achieved by doing what they've done to look how they look.
Yeah, because it's all performance-based, it's not
Yeah,
aesthetics.
exactly.
So
And
you can look average, but performance-wise, you know, you might be the person that could be like drop the highest or like
exactly.
Usain Bolt ain't much to look at.
Exactly.
But he's
got a world record. He's got a world record now,
Exactly.
and other people will be like, yeah, well, you know, I can't do that, or I can do that if I did more, then go and do it, you know, sort of thing. So I think there's a lot of mindset readjusting and shifting before I started to like knuckle down and train. And you know, previously what we have spoken about, like, in terms of confidence stuff, it did knock my confidence in the sense that, you know, I was like, I've been always trying to put on weight and I'm now losing weight. And people are now noticing that by saying it to me, like, oh, you're losing weight, sort of thing. People who don't see me as regularly, like members or family members. And I'm like, well, it's hard to hear it because I've always been on a journey of trying to put on weight. Obviously being vegetarian and, you know, obviously being ectomorph for calories, always need to eat as much as I can. And I'm working so much as well, so it's tricky to try to balance it all and trying to achieve what I want to achieve. And then also throwing HYROX into it, it kind of just throws everything up in the air. So I learned that I'm not going to achieve my overall goal and trying to put on weight whilst trying to do something like HYROX, so I have to accept it. And I have to accept it quick because it's not a case of I'm just going to do one more race and that's it. It's I'm going to try to take part in as many races as I can to keep improving, because it's a challenge that I thoroughly loved and enjoyed as much as it was hard, but then it also gave me a massive boost of confidence and kind of like self-respect as well. I'd be like, you can do this. But I always say to myself, I always put myself in a position that I'm always willing to learn, because I always try to keep myself grounded and humble. You heard what the other guy, when he was in before, he said, there's so many other things I need to still learn and develop in my own skill set as a PT and as a human being and as just a normal person. Like, it's part of life. I do not know everything, and I will always be willing to learn. Like, so when you came in, I'm like, damn, man, I see myself in him. But it was like, it was refreshing because it's like, you know, it kind of re-sparked like, man, where's my like positive vibes gone? Where I've like, you know, cocooned it a little bit because it's like I've been so busy with work and stuff like that. But like, you brought it back out again. It's like energy. Let's go, bro. You got this. It's there. Let's bring it back out again. Let's be that vibrant person. And I think you've got to sometimes like harness that energy sometimes and focus on areas where you like, you know, where you will benefit the most, rather than it being so sparse and like giving out to everyone else sort of thing. I mean, when you relate it back to stuff like competitions and training and HYROX related stuff, you got to dig real deep to be like, right, sometimes in life, you've got to sometimes take a drop to come back up stronger. Because like you said, everything can become a bit more like just, I call it vanilla flavor, it's just plain. But what
flavor?
Vanilla.
Vanilla?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, man. I love vanilla.
Vanilla's good, but sometimes it just, how often can you keep continuing vanilla? But as you start adding different flavors in and stuff like that, then it becomes a bit like, oh, this is nice. It's like that with how you can also sometimes fall down and come back up stronger. And you're like, oh shit, you know, I had to fall down, and you sometimes learn things the easy way in life, and sometimes you learn things the hard way. But within that whole element of the process, there's growth. I think that's one of probably the biggest things I've experienced doing these HYROX competitions and the training for it is the growth. And that will be either learning things from people, challenging other people challenging me, pushing my body to the limit. But there's always growth within every single process that I go through. So whenever I do one race, cool, one race may not have gone ideally to how I would have liked it. It's not a problem, it's not the end of the world. These things happen. You're not a robot, you are a human being. Could be anything. You know, your lead up to it could have been like, oh, you're a bit more stressed out, your food intake was probably a little bit under the calories or not enough of what you needed for the day, sort of thing. Heat, anything. Like for prime example, when I went to Malaga, my race completely went off because I had injured my left knee this time and my left rotator cuff. I've had a frozen shoulder sort of thing, shoulder impingement. So whole my left side I completely shut down on the day of the race. Managed to get through, still managed to get like a 120, I think it was like a 127 time or 124 time, which is way below what I wanted to do. I went into that race wanting to beat my time originally I set at 114. I was like, cool, this day I'm going to get a sub 110 and try to challenge myself even more and try and qualify for the championships.
Is the championships under 110?
Oh, championships, I think now like, it's just ridiculous times now. Like I think the world record sits at like 54 to 57 or something like that. Again, don't quote me on that, but it's in that range where it's below an hour now.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous. Like, you know, you see these guys, they're not like huge, but they're like good lean athletes, but they're putting in a serious time.
But that can be actually like I mean, just hearing that can be quite daunting for especially beginners. And like someone that, let's say, for me, for instance, right, that just wants to get into it.
Yeah.
I mean, if you was starting from now, like, right, just imagine yourself like back how you used to be. What would be your biggest advice in terms of like if someone's scared to actually do it, and if someone is a bit apprehensive to actually, you know, do it? What is the thing that you would say, like, you know, encouragement, or what can you advise them?
I would probably say, like, evaluate what you're doing at the minute in terms of training. If there's anything remotely close to like doing a run and then going into an exercise. So like when I say like evaluate what you're doing, are you doing any form of like HIIT training? So if you're not, try it first.
Yeah.
See how you feel just from doing that, because it's a big jump from if you're coming from like doing just weights, is then doing a bit more cardio-based stuff or like HIIT training, because it's just a different element or attack. Not even attack, actually, that's the wrong word. I'll say a different approach in terms of your cardiovascular. Basically your heart, and how your heart just completely reacts differently to you pumping bicep curl versus doing 300 meters on a ski erg into then 15 push-ups. So you gotta test yourself and see how you feel, because I think, again, even though your body is fully capable of doing many things, I think the first obstacle that will come on board, or you'll face, will be not experiencing something like that, and be like a bit of a moment where like you feel scared.
The shock.
It's a shock to your system. That's the word. There you go.
I mean, I don't want to admit this, but you know the story of the first time I done HYROX, right? I threw up. I threw up. Because it's like, I do a lot of runs, like boxing. It's a whole different cardio, but I do a lot of cardio, right? And I can do rounds and rounds. So I was confident.
Yep.
I really pushed myself to do the first one. But then I was like, this is it's like, I compared it to like doing burpees non-stop.
Yep.
It's literally, that's how I felt. Like burpees non-stop.
Yep.
And with like weights on you, and then just like you can feel everything shutting down, and it just kept on going. I would say, what's the main mental aspect, right? Key component that you could give to someone, especially in HYROX, like in competing?
Ooh, there can be many, but I think the key ones are, you have to be really focused on what you want to achieve. Whether it's you want to try to get it within a certain time frame, obviously because it is a timed competition, you want to try to at least set a good time. I think once you know where sort of your benchmark is to then continue to try to beat that time. Whether if you go back into a competition, you beat it by 2 minutes, fantastic, it's still an achievement, you still beat it. Even if it's 5 seconds, you still beat your previous time. I think that you have to take things into realistic, or be realistic with yourself. Is like, cool, what is your overall goal with wanting to do HYROX? Is it a case of like, do you want to qualify for the championships, or is it a case of just challenging your body? Because you get people that go in there who is just like, they could be your average gym goers. As I've seen a vast amount of people who are like different ethnicities, sizes, who compete, and they just want to compete because they just want to do something that will challenge them, but also be part of a community that where other members of the family or friends are doing it, and it's all like, it's just a fun element.
And just to clarify quickly, is it okay to do that? Or is this like a completely like professional, because it's a professional sport, but is it something that professionals can only take part in? Or is this something like anyone
No,
can
it's
really...
open. No, it's open to everyone. Everyone. Last time I did the competition, which was in, where was it, Birmingham?
April?
No, there's one bit after that. It was the London one. It was in London, so that's when they did the pro. There was a couple, I think they were aged 70, I believe. They took part.
Oh, okay.
At the age of 70. So there are people in there, and there are other people who are disabled, with missing limbs that have taken part. So there's no excuses. This gateway is open to anyone. I feel where certain people might not challenge themselves enough and be like, oh no, it's not for me, I'm scared. I feel that sometimes they just need to watch certain videos of who has taken part and their reasons for taking part, but also just watching that. If they can do it, you can do it.
That's actually so fascinating because most of the time people just want to do runs in order to challenge themselves, right? But sometimes that can get it can get underwhelming, all right? You've done so many runs, 5K, 10Ks, this and that, but you want to challenge yourself more. But I think this is the only one, except CrossFit, which we'll go into more depth later, that you can actually join and challenge yourself more in a physical manner, except fighting. But that is actually, this is what attracted me to it the most. Because it's not just cardio, it's also strength, right? And those are the main things that, you know, we can actually build and grow upon, right? Especially when you go to the gym, what's your main thing? It's really strength and your cardio, right? But there's no test, there's no competition to do it, not an open one anyway. And that's why I feel like HYROX it targets this, like, it's not sports in terms of competitiveness, and it's not just going to the gym, and it's like encompasses everything and mixes it together. So like all the best of each that you can actually compete. But it's not like a sport where you lose, you're gone. Right? You can still have fun and enjoy your life without getting beaten to death like sports and athletes do. So
I agree with that. I think one of the other fun things about the HYROX is that you can like definitely go in. I think one of the key things I learned is actually go in and have fun. Because I think if you go in and take it too serious, so you can still be competitive, but you can still have fun. I think, like prime example, when I went to the Malaga one, when I started to like, my knees started flaring up and I knew I was struggling, my heart rate elevated more than it should have, and the things just went pear-shaped for me. I got frustrated within the my zone, which is where you step in and do your actual exercises before you step back out into your run. But I was like, you know what? It is what it is. I'm not going to let this be the tone of the rest of the race. So obviously my friends were there and my partner was there, and you know, I turned it around. I came back out into the run, maybe the second run after that I think it was, I just started smiling more, I just enjoyed it. And I came back in and I finished at 124. I was like, damn, even after all that happened, I still got a 124. So my message with that is go into the races being competitive and focused. I think that should just be a given, but also enjoy it, embrace it, and have fun, because you'll be very surprised over how much you'll be more happier with having fun than being competitive and so focused where you do bad. You just start beating yourself up. Oh, I could have done better. Oh, I should have done this.
And you don't enjoy it.
You don't enjoy it. It's like, you don't enjoy that excitement and fun when you cross over the line and they give you the badge and then you see your name pop up with the time and it's just like, and everyone's there cheering you on. You kind of block it all out because you're like, damn, I could have done better. I've done shit. Versus you just cross over and you're like, you may be passing out on the floor and trying to catch your breath. It's like, it's all fun because it's all smiles. Everyone's around you like positive and giving you good vibes and thumbs up and high fives and fist pumps and all that. Embrace it, enjoy it.
There's no real loser if you actually just enjoy
No,
it.
everyone's a winner. I think everyone that starts on the line and finishes a race or even doesn't finish a race because something's happened, where it's an injury or anything, or they just can't finish, everyone's a winner.
As long as you take part.
As long as you take part, like as soon as you sign up and you get the confirmation you're going to be doing a HYROX, you're a winner because you're challenging yourself. Now there's a range of like serious competitors and they're putting some serious good times and they're like, you know, they're taking it to the next level and they're going to championship level and now elite level. Then you got the average gym goal. Doesn't matter where you are. It's the fact that you've actually.
That's the beauty of HYROX.
Well, it's the part where, like, you know, you've actually taken part, because that within itself, for everyone, whether you're on the top end or the bottom end, you're still a winner. And I think HYROX gives you that opportunity to be able to come in and challenge yourself. And I think when you relate it back to going to the gym, it's all good coming to the gym and beasting yourself in the cardio area or beasting yourself in the weights area. But what are you trying to achieve? Is it a case of just aesthetics and looking a certain way? How long can you maintain that for? Because whatever you're trying to achieve in your early 20s and 30s, are you still going to look like that when you get to your 50s and 60s?
Because like you said, a lot of people that have been, you know, playing sports, they still have that competitive spirit inside of them. But let's say they've been injured. This happens plenty of times, right? Or sometimes life just doesn't work out the way that they want to. So this is like literally the perfect outlet for them to still give that competitive spirit
Yep.
and to actually put it, give that out and
Yep.
give that input without actually wasting that. Because
Yep.
the gym can be fun, but it can also be a lonely place,
Of course.
right? It's a very lonely place for someone that is competitive and driven. Because it's just going to be you versus you. But
Yep.
eventually that reflection in the mirror gets boring.
Yep.
And it starts to like play in your mind, right? It's like, are you this? Are you that? And it starts questioning you. Like, yeah, you can lift this, but have you competed in this, right? Yeah, you're strong. You run all the time on the treadmill, but can you run this fast? And it's like, there's no other outlet.
Yeah.
Whereas HYROX is the perfect place to actually
Yeah.
put all those together and build something of yourself.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
would you think that that's like something that HYROX is actually tapping into?
Oh, 100%. I think it's bridging a way for people to come together from different backgrounds. Early on that, obviously Lee and Lara went on to do it and they came back and I was like, it's nothing I can do, it's easy sort of thing. But then when I did it, it was a massive shock to my system. And I was like, okay, I see what this is about now. So, and the rest is history. And I'm moving on to now I've done 6 races, moving on to do another 5. I'll be 11 by the time I finish this year, and then hopefully do some more next year. But I'm going to continue training for it, continue pushing more. It's actually now pushed me into an area where I want to take part in other competitions, and which has slightly different formats of training, different elements of exercise, and a bit more Olympic lifting, and just small little tweaks like that. And it's nice because it's now like it pushes you into slightly uncomfortable areas, but then through those uncomfortable areas comes the process of growth.
Yeah.
And I think you're continually growing and you're continuously learning. And I think that's a beautiful thing with fitness, is that you'll always forever be learning and growing.
And that's actually perfect for you because you can share that as being
Exactly.
a PT,
Yeah.
and you can be specific to like HYROX, because
Yeah.
a lot of people want to get into that, but
Yeah.
they don't have a door.
Yeah, yeah.
Like they don't have an entry point
Yeah.
to actually get them into it, and
Yeah.
that's what you provide.
Yeah, it's nice because, like I said, the HYROX bridges many things, and I think when Lara and Paul did it, it was just 2 people doing it at the time, and then they came back and they became 6 people, and now there's like members now get involved, and I think there's like 10 plus people now have done it. There's different levels. You got the open for the men and women. You got the doubles, mixed doubles, same gender mix, and then you've got like the team relay one, which is obviously something you're considering as well. And it allows everyone to go in and do whatever level they want. But it also brings everyone together. And so now it's like there's a bit of a HYROX community within
there is.
our club, which is nice because it's nice that other people want to get involved. It's nice that other people want to be a part of the training and be a part and have a bargain, get a badge and put it in their bags and stuff.
It's not bad,
it's
man.
nice, but
That's what I wanted.
it's nice because it bridges a way to connect with someone. It's not just about it's not a case of like, oh hey bro, let's go train. It's just like, hey bro, let's go train, but I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
And vice versa.
It's like a blood pact, isn't it?
It
It's
is.
like when you see someone with a HYROX like that, I'm pretty sure you'll be like, hey, I see you.
It's nice. It's like, there's a couple people that come in and they've done races like, oh, how do you find it? What was your time, sort of thing. And like, then you challenge the members as well, and people will be like, oh, when are you gonna do yours? Have you signed up yet? And it's like people come back to me, they're like, oh yeah, I've signed up now. And it's like, it's nice.
Yeah.
It's like, cool. Now you're experiencing something I experienced, but I want to see how you do. And also just be like, it doesn't matter if you get a better time than me, or you get a less of a better time than me, or you get a really bad time. It's the fact that you've done it.
Yeah.
It's something that you've done, I've experienced, and vice versa. It's nice to talk about it. It just builds that community within the gym. Because like you
And
said,
it's also nice to see people like so arrogant, I guess, I suppose, right? They're like, I'm gonna smash this, I'm gonna do well, and then they come out and it's like, and it's like,
it is, but I think then it's nice to then go and pick them up again.
yeah.
And be like, listen, you may not have got a good time.
But you gotta say something first, though, right? You gotta give them a few jabs. And
Yeah, it's banter, though.
Yeah,
You gotta, but again, HYROX creates that banter vibe, but it's again within itself, it's competitiveness.
Yeah.
You're being competitive with that person because, for example, Jake, he used to do little things. He would try to get in my head and would be like, yeah, I'm gonna beat you, I'm gonna beat you, I'm gonna beat you, I'm gonna smash you. I'm gonna get a much better time than you. And there's 2-3 times trying to do that, and it's failed and backfired for him where he hasn't even finished the race.
he didn't?
Yeah, no, he's he had a stomach issue, he couldn't do it, he was nearly gonna shit his pants on the track and everything. That's how bad it got
Wait,
for
that
him.
bad?
Yeah, that's how bad it got for him. Something always flared up for him. I said to him, you stop getting in my head because I'm really focused and determined to do well for myself. it's nice that you bring that competitive element to the table, because it's like, essentially you are doing a race to set a good time for yourself, but because you're doing it in a group format, you're going to instantly have that natural reaction of, I'm going to beat that person, I'm going to beat that person. It's just a natural thing, which is also, again, another beautiful thing about HYROX is that even though you're doing it for yourself, you're still going to be competing with other people. So you're always going to push yourself even more. So you might have taken your training to like an 80% threshold or 90% threshold, but on the day you hit that 100%, you're going to keep pushing. And that's where you start using your heart rate monitor. You see the levels, zone 5, zone 4, you hit red or amber, you're like, oh, what's going on? But like, yeah, that's where you get more technical, but that's when you start to learn a bit more about like what you're capable of, or where your threshold is, like, you know, where your aerobic fitness levels are, your VO2 max is where it is, and that stuff starts coming into play, and then that's when you start learning a bit more about your body, even more. So like, even though I'm a personal trainer, I've learned a lot more things about my body through doing HYROX. So like I said, HYROX, it opens a gateway to many, many, many things. So it's been a beautiful journey so far, but it's not done yet. I've still got more in the tank to learn about myself, with my training, with my eating, with my sleeping habits, and to get back onto the platform and see what I can do. So the fastest time I've done so far individually has been a 1:14, and then that was in the open. That's the time I want to beat. And try beat and get sub 110. So take off 4 minutes. So I took off like, what, 16, 17 minutes from the 1:31 to 1:14. So that's a massive achievement. So that again is pressure on myself, but I know I can do more. I know I can get better and better and stronger and faster, which is happening, which is good. I thought, you know, what can I do to just push the boundaries even more? And I took part in the pro level. So the weights were a lot higher.
And what did you get in the pro? What
pro, I got 127.
127?
127.
On a pro?
On a pro level.
That's
so that,
pretty good.
Yeah, I walked out of that quite like happy, and I'm like, I was shocked as well. I was like, to get 127, I thought I would have got a really, really bad time. Because when I got to the rope pool, everything else in terms of training for, I had done so on the same weight, which was fine. It's just the rope pool I didn't. So when I came out, when I do the rope pool.
That was a 90?
No, that was 125.
125. Oh, pro.
For pro level, yeah, this is pro level. So 125 kg sled pull. And it took me 10 minutes just to finish. I think it was like 8 minutes or something, 9 minutes, something like that, just to finish off that one bit. I was struggling.
How much was the one we done the other day?
That was, what was that, 220s? No, it was 2. That was about 80 or 90 kg.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to gauge. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
125.
I think sometimes if you're stepping into something for the first time to experience that training wise, I think you have to do the same weight just to feel it.
Yeah.
So like sometimes, for example, like if you're going to do like a squat and you haven't done that weight before, step out with it, get a feel how it feels before you go. I think a lot of it is linked to just psychological.
No,
it's just a mental block.
Of like going to a different place and like,
yeah,
I've never been here before.
you gotta step into it, get a little bit of a taste of it rather than just throwing yourself in the deep end. There's certain things I think you should throw yourself in the deep end and just go with the flow, just, you know. And there's certain things where I think you should
just die, you know.
Yeah.
Just, you know what? It's okay.
not that extreme, but it's just how you approach it. You can have many ways of approaching it, but I think that's why I was like, oh, let me challenge myself even more. So my overall goal, wanted to beat my 114, is still stood, but I thought, let me just see where had done so much more training, and my Malaga race was so poor for me personally. I thought, what can I do to pick it up and turn it around? And that's when I did the pro level and I got 127. Yeah. So I was thinking, like, if I was performing poorly when I got a 124 in Malaga on open weights, I've now done a pro weight and I got 127. So for me, that was a massive achievement, which is then a boost to be like.
I think that was, I'm sure you can, you know, be more proud of this.
Of course.
Like the 127 in a pro than 114 in the opens.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
Is that something that you've actually, you know, you cherish more, that victory? So
what makes it more sweet is getting this little badge with the little gold rim, because it stands out a lot more.
Because it's pro, yeah.
Like, now you're like, all right, I've done the pro. So instantly, again, it's another bug you'll get onto. Is like once you get your first HYROX,
collecting,
and you just collect it and you see it, be like, oh, you know what? I want the gold one now. Like it adds more flavor to
it looks
vanilla-ness.
good. Yeah, I know, right?
So like, but it's also just nice because it's again, you're challenging yourself. It's like, how much more can I challenge myself doing something that's repetitively the same? do a higher
And
weight.
it's something to look forward to.
Of
it's
course.
something to like, you know what, I want that yellow badge.
Of course.
You know what? I see Prash, like, I want that badge. I want that badge.
I went for this because of originally when Paul and Lara got me into it, they did their pro and I saw their badge. I was like, I want to get that badge. So instantly there's that competitiveness there.
Yeah.
Because you just were like, if she can do it, if he can do it, I can do it. But you're challenging yourself. So even though you're being competitive with that person, it's kind of indirectly being more challenging to yourself. And then you keep thriving, you keep growing, you keep learning. Because everything I learned in that race was a lot different to what I learned doing just a normal one. But I know where I stand now, where I can improve on. And that comes across in my training. That's why my training is so intense and like, I'm getting Paul to now do my programming, which I love because he knows where I'm at. Yeah. But then also he's challenging me because then I put my numbers in and figures in and that's where we are improving. So there's small little tweaks, small improvements. But those small little improvements are now making a big difference when I then step into my race. And so when I do my next one in September, when I go to Madrid, it's just going to be me and Jake doing it. But I know what I need to do. And that's on the open. So that 114 time is going to get annihilated. I know that. Because I know where I stand now. Fingers crossed. But I think HYROX opens a gateway to you recognizing and understanding yourself more. Yeah. I think it opens up a way where you can put yourself in a very uncomfortable position to then be able to grow to become more comfortable. I think HYROX puts you into a competitiveness way of not just being competitive with yourself but with other people, but also learning. I think HYROX also allows you to meet different people and learn from those people as well. I think HYROX kind of creates a safe space for you. So when you're coming into the gym, it's not a case of like being a cardio basher or a class basher or a weights basher. Like now you've got a bit more experience being able to adjust your workouts that are going to accommodate you doing better in HYROX. Yeah. So it also just adds more to your exercise library when you come into the gym, a bit more structured, detailed plan. But also when you do meet someone that's done HYROX, you're like, hey, he or she knows.
Does it give you that sense of like identity? Like finding like a belonging, that something that you belong to?
Essentially, yeah, because you go into, you become part of this community. So it's like, as soon as you feel part of a community, you feel wanted.
Yeah.
So you kind of like, it's that warmth, it's that comfort blanket. Like someone be like, hey man, how you doing today? How's HYROX? Yeah. What are you doing for your training today? You know, like when some people ask me about my training, what I'm doing for HYROX, they're like, man, I want to come train with you. You want to train with me? Jacob wants to train with me. Paul now, skinny leg Paul, working in. I take the piss out of his legs now, but he wants to know. Like, but it's nice because it's even though he's not doing HYROX, but he's learning more about it. Now he doesn't even call me by my name; he just calls me Mr. HYROX. But it's nice.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like so you build this identity. Like whenever I think of you, it's like HYROX.
Yeah.
It's like HYROX. So you're not even like just PT Prash.
Yeah.
You're like HYROX Prash.
Yeah.
You know, and it elevates you to a point that like you have your own identity.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's something that's like a lot of people inspired to be.
Yeah.
You know, finding their own identity in this world, in this life, and who they are as a person, which I feel like you have found in yourself.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I think when you step into the PT world, I think you kind of just get lost in the heat or the moment of this, like just being a PT. Yeah. You know, like what do you stand for? What does this PT stand for? What does that PT stand for? Sort of thing. Like back in the days, you'll have like your CrossFitters, you'll have your weight trainers, you'll have your cardio bashers, you have your Ironmen who are doing like Ironman competitions and stuff like that, which is a completely different ball game. Yeah. You know, the training for that is intense. There's something else I want to get into, probably not next year, probably the year after that. But again, it's the HYROX has now opened that pathway to now be more competitive and want to take part in more different competitions. So
that's another thing I wanted to talk to you about. We'll wrap this up soon, but the last thing is just that, what is the separation or the difference between HYROX and CrossFit?
So CrossFit for me, I haven't got much experience in it, but from what I know of it, it's just a completely different ballgame in the aspect of your strength has to be a completely different ballgame to HYROX. So like your HYROX weights are set, whereas like with CrossFit, it varies. You got the EMOMs, you got WODs, you got completely different styles of training incorporated into the competitions or what they do, and then just There's a lot more Olympic lifting involved in that as well. So there's that different element. So there's no much of Olympic lifting when you're doing the actual competition with HYROX versus when you do CrossFit. That's the difference between the two. That's the key part. Also, it's just, I find, from what I know of CrossFit, it is a lot more challenging on the body than I feel HYROX. I think HYROX is a lot more endurance. CrossFit seems to be more short outbursts, but a continuation of like doing that like 8 times or 9 times or 10 times, doing completely different exercises. So like the Olympic lifting side of things for me, like even though I'm doing some of it in my training now, it's different because I've never really much done much of it before.
Yeah.
So I've always done like weights, there's the standard, the bench, the squats, the deadlifts and stuff like that. Whereas now I'm doing more Olympic lifting and I'm enjoying it. It's fun. I'm learning. So I think the difference between the two is that you're still going to be competitive in both. You're still learning in both. But there's just a different approach on how you take part in different exercises. So some people are like, well, it's very similar, but it's like, not necessarily.
Yeah.
I think the best way to sometimes experience that is that take part in both, and you'll see the difference.
Is that something you're interested in? Or
Oh, definitely. CrossFit has always been, I've always been interested in learning more about CrossFit. I think I kind of set myself in my own pathway. We've grown as a person in the sense of like getting strength back into my knee and focusing on putting on weight. And I think the network of people around as well, like not many people at the time now do CrossFit stuff.
Yeah.
So I think it's just more like I found something I've actually really enjoyed, which is HYROX. I wouldn't say I would not want to do CrossFit, but you can pick up a lot more injuries in CrossFit compared to HYROX.
That's the thing.
I think that's the other thing that kind of kept me a bit more on the borderline of like, ooh, because I hear a lot of people catching a lot of injuries. So I'm like, but again, you then allow yourself to put yourself in a position of uncomfortability to then become more comfortable. Yeah. So I wouldn't know until I actually step into that box of uncomfortability.
Well, hopefully in the future, there's something that you can actually accomplish.
Oh, 100%. I'm definitely going to do it. I think it's just trying to juggle one thing at a time. I think once you pick something, kind of master it, become better at it, and then move on to the next thing.
Slow progression is the best type of progression, right?
Oh, of course.
So one last thing, just let the people know like where they can find you, your social media, or what you're on, or just your website if you have a website, and just basically your services as well.
So I am a personal trainer at Fitness First Cottons in London Bridge. Instagram handle is Prash Amin Coach, and that's pretty much all I use. I don't really use Facebook anymore. It's there.
OnlyFans?
Not at all. Not at all. This guy's
Not
funny.
yet.
Not yet. We don't need that. This is a good source right here, man. This is all good here. Yes, and this is where I'm based. This is my hub, London Bridge.
All right.
Fitness First Cottons. I've been here for a long time. Part of the furniture now. So yeah, man. That's
the staple of Fitness First.
No, not at all. Not at all.
All right, man. Well, it was lovely talking to you. I learned so much from you, man.
Likewise,
Thank you,
bro, man. Positive vibes.